Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this is a very, very sad an unfortunate story that has to deal with family dynamics again, mental health, possible opioid issues, because what this son did to his parents and the pet dog is just completely insane. And we are losing our humanity each and every day. And there are a plethora of stories about a multitude of negative family dynamics where I'm seeing a lot of children that are doing and committing heinous and devilish crimes against their own parents and siblings. There has been a large uptick in recent times with female teachers having inappropriate relationships with preteen and teenage students. We have an uptick in police officers of one race committing heinous, egregious, aggressive crimes against innocent civilians of another race. And thirdly, I'm seeing a heavy uptick, as I said previously, where children are turning on their own parents and killing them. Is this the end of days, the end of time? Is this biblical? I don't know, but the world is starting to be real crazy. So this story is not to overexpose these heinous crimes, but to provide adequate exposure and to keep us aware and keep our head on a swivel and utilize our five senses, because there's a lot of chaos and disruption going on throughout our cities and states, but there's also a lot of chaos and disruption that's in the four walls, within the four walls of many of our homes in America. So this is straight out of California. Man accused of decapitating his parents and their dog in California. Say it again. Man accused of decapitating his parents and their dog in California. Law enforcement in Southern California said they discovered a horrific scene inside a home after a 41-year-old man allegedly decapitated his senior parents and the family's dog. The suspect was shot by an Orange County sheriff's officer not long after officers responded to the bloody scene on July 10th. The agency is reporting he was taken to a hospital in stable condition. This is the perpetrator, the son, and was recently booked into jail on two counts of homicide, a jail spokesman told USA Today. According to the sheriff's office, the double homicide took place in the city of San Juan Capistrano, about 10 miles southeast of Laguna Beach. Officials identified the victims, the parents, as Antoinette Girdville, 79, and Ronald Walter Girdville, 77, both of whom were from San Juan Capistrano. They identified the suspect as their son. Here's the caveat: 41-year-old Joseph Brandon Girdville. What a sad story. The couple's son, according to information from investigators, lived in a double-wide mobile home with his parents prior to the gruesome slaying. And so here's the horrific scene. Just before 7:35 a.m. on July 9, 2024, deputies responded to a report of a domestic assault at the home and located a horrific scene which included the decapitated and mutilated bodies of Ronald and Antoinette Girdville. Deputies also reported they found a decapitated dog belonging to the married couple. So here's the timeline of the double decapitation, slaying, and deputy shooting. Here's what officials reported transpired after deputies discovered the victims. At 7:42 a.m., Dispatch notified deputies on scene a bloody male was chasing a maintenance worker in the same community. Shortly after dispatch relayed to deputies, the bloody man stole the maintenance worker's golf cart and left the area in an unknown direction. So deputies found the son bloodied up. He commits in this small community to stealing the maintenance worker's golf cart and takes off in it. At 7:51 a.m., a sheriff's community service officer located the bloody male driving the golf cart near a bike trail exit about a mile and a half northeast of the mobile home community. At 7:52 a.m., a deputy who responded to the initial scene of a double homicide arrived to an area near the bike trail, contacted the suspect, and a deputy-involved shooting occurred. Officials have not released how many times the deputy fired their service weapon, but what caused the deputy to open fire on the suspect or where the suspect was shot is still unknown. The name of the deputy has not been released who shot the son. On the agency's Facebook page, Sheriff Don Barnes called the crime scene a very difficult and complex scene for our responding deputies, investigators, crime lab personnel, and coroners. I am grateful for their dedicated professionalism as they work towards seeking justice for Miss Antoinette and Mr. Ronald Girdville. So, Joseph Girdville, the son, was booked into Orange County Jail on homicide charges. Deputies rendered medical aid to the suspect until the Orange County Fire Authority arrived and transported him to the hospital, whereas as of early this week, he was in stable condition. A sheriff's office official told USA Today the suspect was booked into the county jail on July 13th on 2 counts of homicide and no bond. It was not immediately known if he had obtained an attorney or when he is due in court. Additional charges are pending in the case. Anyone with information related to this homicide is asked to contact the sheriff's office. And so in this article, there's a lot that we're dealing with. We're dealing with family dynamics, parents and a child. You're dealing with a 41-year-old who should be living on his own, married with children, or living his independent life. However, in today's time, and as tough as financial times are, and nobody has a job, one job for 30 years, many of our young people today are delaying or having issues with moving away from their parents. And maybe he has mental issues, opioid drug issues, who knows, but evidently he's not sustainable enough to live on his own, so he was living with his parents. Parents take him in, and look at how he thanked them. I don't know what the complete dynamics were in that home. I'm sure his parents wanted him to be an upstanding, positive, suitable citizen that was able to manage his own life. And unfortunately, in his management or mismanagement of his life, he ended up taking the lives of his own biological parents by decapitating them, and he decapitated the dog. There has to be a mental breakdown somewhere. But this all falls under DV, domestic violence. And also in this article, for clarity, if anybody's listening and knows people that have had DV or domestic violence issues, there's a national hotline. So if you're a victim of domestic violence or know someone suffering from it, the National Domestic Violence Hotline allows you to speak confidentially with trained advocates online or by phone, which they recommend for those who think their online activity is being monitored by their abuser. That number is 1-800-799-7233. They can help survivors develop a plan to achieve safety for themselves and their children. So even though this is a son, when we think about domestic violence, we think about boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife. But there is a category for domestic violence that could be perpetrated against a parent and a child and a parent. And this is obvious, the worst case scenario of domestic violence that ended in double homicide by this gentleman killing both of his parents. So for those who's listening to my channel and are following me, I talk about mental illness every day. I see it every day. For this gentleman to kill both of his parents, and for anybody to think that he's just a killer and there's no mental illness, and then what he did to their bodies post-mortem, and even to their own dog, it lends me to believe either he was having a manic, psychotic attack, was it induced by drugs. There's no way that I would believe that he did this to his biological parents and the family dog under any kind of undrugged mindset. Schizophrenia is real, stress and anxiety is real, manic attacks are real. Many of these psychological and psychiatric diagnoses need to be treated, medicated, and there needs to be a therapeutic model for people that need help. Also, we have our social services, our governmental social services that you can reach out to, but we have to put mental health issues and mental illness at the top of our medical paradigm and not at the bottom. There are way too many individuals that are walking around in today's time on this earth and in America with undiagnosed and untreated mental illness. Statistics show that there are about 20% of our U.S. citizens that are walking around with some form of mental illness. So if there's 360 or 70 million people in this country, we're talking about 72 to 75 million that have mental illness on a varying scale. And what we sometimes take for granted is that mental illness can lead to psychotic episodes and heinous crimes and even death. We take diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer very serious, and in many of those situations it takes a person quite a while to finally either succumb to those illnesses and die. But mental illness, if somebody snaps or if their mental illness is being exacerbated by drug use, there's no 3 to 5 year survival rate or window to see what's going to happen. That person, if something clicks in their head, death could be immediate and unfortunate and unexpected. I don't think that these parents thought that their son that was living with them was going to kill them. And it didn't take 3 to 5 years. It took one unfortunate day. And the dog even had to die. Tell me what you think about this story. I'm going to keep delivering these videos to you until the rest of the world wakes up. We want to have a woke community, but we also need to have a woke community that's wrapped around addressing mental illness, the opioid crisis, homelessness, fatherless homes, gun violence. We're seeing a surge in all of those categories and areas that is putting our United States of America public safety at risk. Tell me what you think. This has been a Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.